So yeah, where are we?
We're at Our Ladies in Dartford, which is a Catholic primary school, and we've been working on bringing nature to the children.
And this is something that the kids want?
Yes. So I came here as a consultant to do a review on their outsourced spaces, and there was no access to natural materials. There was a field here that was cut short grass, and when I went and reviewed what the children were doing in the playground, they were picking at the moss on the side of the playground so that they had access to something natural.
Yeah.
So I suggested to the head teacher that we developed a forest school type of area here.
Yeah.
And I told her to stop cutting the grass, which is what I do with every school that I go to. I say, stop cutting the grass, and that will increase the biodiversity to start with. And then we started to train the teachers in how to take the children out and deliver forest school inspired activities. So the kids come out and they do a whole range of activities where they look at utilising their own excitement and investigation to develop the activity. So the teachers will lay on particular activities, maybe cooking something over the fire or making something with tools. They'll teach the children how to use the tools, but then the children define their own learning. So some of them might go and build a den, some of them might dig a hole, some of them might cook something over the fire, some of them might just go and investigate the wildlife in the area, some might just sit down and chill. Yeah. But the idea is that they connect with nature.
So when did the kids decide they wanted to grow food, and what kind of foods did they talk about?
So when they started coming out here, one of the things that came really evident that they started to understand how the plants worked, and they started to understand that they were a good thing, and then they started to sort of say things like, well, could we grow our own things to cook? And every time we've done a review of forest school, we would like to grow more plants. So we involved the children in planting all of the plants in the area, and they enjoyed planting. And then they started to say, well, could we grow stuff? And then we've got our year ones cook on a regular basis, and so they started to say things like, well, could we grow things to cook? And every time we do a review, I've just had a year 5 review back, and a good proportion of that says we would like to grow things to eat.
Right. And your teachers are bought in, your head's bought in, so everyone's keen on getting it going, and you've got this lovely big space. So it's a matter of what we do with it.
Yes, so basically the head teacher is really behind the idea of growing. She wants to have an allotment, and also we're planning to have a garden at the very end of the field, which we're going to call our mindfulness space or something like that, where the children can go and learn in a gentle way. They can have space to calm down, they can have space to kind of connect with themselves, but also will act as a pollinator to the allotment project that we're having a bit further up. So the idea is that we'll plant stuff that they can then grow, they can then cook in lessons and also in their forest school sessions.
And some of the curriculum is coming into this.
Yes, so right the way through the curriculum for primary, there are links into science, how plants work, how they pollinate, you know, what type of different plants they are, but also just the things about, if you're looking at symmetry, for instance, symmetry in plants is a much easier way to look at that in maths. There are all sorts of things about recurring patterns, there are lots of different maths connections, there are, you know, if you're writing a story, if you're looking at Jack the Beanstalk, you know, in year R they look at traditional tales. If you're looking at Jack the Beanstalk, grow yourself a beanstalk. You know, there are lots and lots of links that we want to make and are making to make those kinesthetic learners, those learners that learn through touching and smelling and tasting and hearing, you know, that's going to make their education.
So if we grow asparagus here and we want to sell it to the local shop, and the local shop wants 20% of the retail price, great way of teaching percentages.
Absolutely. And so I think the trouble with a lot of schools is that they see that the only connection to the outdoors is science, or sometimes a little bit of DT, and actually you can link right the way across the curriculum, especially around children who are struggling with maths, taking them outside and asking them to, you know, collect different leaves and then sort those out. We had a wonderful day on, we did an outdoor classroom day, and we looked at the mini beasts because we wanted to look at the biodiversity of the area, and then we did a bar chart using natural materials to see what we had the most of, and the thing we had was slugs. So we need to bear that in mind when we plant our.
So that's why we've got a little pond here.
Yeah, absolutely.
To put some frogs in.
Frogs, and we would like to create an area for toads in the allotment. I think we'd like a resident toad. I think just to.
And we've identified that what we need here is quite a few volunteers from the local area.
Yeah.
So we might send invitations into everyone's houses
Yeah.
around here. We might do a bit of guerrilla gardening as
Yeah,
well.
no, that would be cool. I think, you know, the thing we've learned in this school is some of the cultures that the children come from. There isn't a tradition of gardening, but they are really, really interested. And we had a bean planting day where we planted beans, and the parents came in their droves because they were
Really?
interested in what was going on, but they haven't necessarily got the time to do it in their own gardens, and they're keen for their children to know about this.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had I think something like 75% of the school came to the bean planting day.
I mean,
so-
I'd love to see every school have a little market on
Yeah.
Friday. So the kids are selling what they've grown, and perhaps the parents coming in with what they've grown.
Yeah.
And the kids maybe taking
Yeah.
plants back to home to grow, and the parents are making it into some nice food, and it's all being traded through the school. You're building a lovely little community.
I think that's a fantastic idea, and certainly we're working a lot with, especially the older key stage, around social enterprise and them understanding planning for real, and that would work really well with what we're trying to do here as a school. We're trying to create a creative curriculum where the children gain skills for life rather than just are educated in what the national curriculum says, because you know, that's the way the world is going. And certainly what we're trying to do is look at the wide and varied cultures that we've got here and celebrate the food from those. So out at Forest School we've done cooking with plantain, which you know, some of the kids have never tried, and then some of them were like, yeah, we have this every week, you know. And so actually sharing those cultural eating experiences, which brings people together culturally, which we're loving.
So if you have a chef who's growing this produce that the kids are proudly taking to him, he can start incorporating some of these local ethnic dishes as well.
Yeah, certainly. Another school I work in, the chef there is he's taking the food from the gardening club, and we're looking at our provision at the moment here for catering, and certainly that would be something that we would be looking at including.
It's almost an ecology in the school.
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely.
As
And
well
it's
as in the
about,
garden.
I think the thing, if any school is thinking about going into this, the joy that the children get from it is amazing, but also just thinking about how much easier it is when your children are not wanting to be indoors, to just go, right, okay, come on, let's just take this lesson outside, and we'll go to the garden, and we'll do it here. You know, we'll literally count beans to learn about money, you know.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you.
That's okay.
Rachel.